Luna Aura. And today I'm very, very excited to have a wonderful person here that I really respect what he does in this world. His name is Professor Spira. Hello, nice to meet you, and welcome to my world and my universe.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. And so, this is my first time having a guest here on this channel. I've done YouTube for years, and then I started doing a podcast just recently, The Psychedelic Witch. And I really just wanted to talk to men more. I wanted to have more conversations specifically with men who are my point of view on the world is very unique. Let's just put it that way. And I wanted to really, and when I found you and I saw one of your videos, I saw I just like, okay, I need to talk to this person, because I've never actually heard any other person in the spiritual community speak about what I've been speaking for years about the connection of eating animals and consuming dead flesh and blood and pus of dead animals, and how it's connected to our karma. And what I speak is mostly sex magic, so our sexual life, and how we cannot really create a sacred union with dead animals in our blood and in our body. And and I just actually saw today on the way to this interview, I saw another one of your videos about karma. You spoke about eating animals and karma. Like finally someone else is talking about this, because I'm like, every time I was in a spiritual community event and there was a spiritual guru or teacher, I'm like, I can't tell you how. I mean, I got a big mouth, so and I'm not shy. I'm Israeli, so I'm not shy. And every time there was a spiritual guru talking, and I raised my hand and I was like, okay, do you still eat animals? And they would say, yes, but I bless it, and I like, no, and it's beautiful, and our ancestors. I'm like, okay, I literally got up and I just left.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I couldn't listen to it. And that's why I couldn't be a part of the spiritual community for so long, because we have to talk about what's really important. And it starts with the body. It starts with what we consume, with what we eat. And as I write in my first book, Sex Magic Evolution, eating is having sex. We're having sex when we're eating. We're actually uniting physically with another energy form, right? Whether if it's a dead animal, whether if it's a piece of bread or an apple. So we are actually uniting, and it enters our blood, our DNA becomes a part of us. So first of all, if there's anything you want to say about that, I would love to hear your perspective, not just as someone who speaks about the mucus-free diet, which I would love for you also to tell the people what it is exactly, so they get to know you, but also as a man, as a man who lives in this reality right now.
Yeah, so, I call it physiological karma.
Yeah.
And what first we have to understand what we're supposed to do and what are we supposed to eat as humans. And of course, a lot of people think that we're supposed to eat like the Neanderthalic cousins that all passed away, that didn't make it, that went extinct. So you have all these handful of people that are like, well, no, we're meat eaters. Like, no, no, we're not. The,
Yeah.
the ones that really ate that way, they only lived to be 20, 30 years old, and then they went extinct. When you, of course, look at the human physiology and our GI tract and our teeth, it's pretty clear that we're the closest to a frugivore physiology, fruit eaters, a fruit eating species. Now, we have eaten ourselves down into a point where we can't just go and eat nothing but fruit. There's a good reason why people try to do that, and then they end up getting sick,
Right.
sick and going through all these eliminations and stuff. But what we're trying to do is burn off our physiological karma, which you do through the detoxification process. You do through the transitional process of transitioning back to a natural life. So from that perspective, in terms of one of the things that we can truly control in terms of a natural life, or one of the most important pieces, is what we choose to put in our body. And when you start to go down the road of, like you said, the blood and guts and pus and eating the dead animals and this kind of stuff, you are condemning yourself to further servitude and suffering. When you change your path, you're going to have to suffer to the extent of burning off of that old karma, but now you open up a world of possibilities, a whole different reality for humans, for your bloodline. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is transition myself physiologically, transform, which body, mind, and spirit, which that just comes along. Some people get into this for different reasons. They want to lose some weight and look better. Other people want to heal from a chronic illness. Some people want they find it because of a spiritual path. However you find it, you have to be prepared to elevate all of it, body, mind, and spirit, because it's all going to elevate together.
Exactly, exactly. And it's funny when you speaking about ancestors and bloodlines, because I have found that some of us are here to actually end our bring an end and a closure to our bloodline, right? To be like the last ones to finish all the karma, to tie up all the loose ends, and kind of release and liberate all the souls of our bloodline and our ancestors. And you cannot do that if you still consume animals. You cannot do
Right.
that, because, and again, it's what I always explain, because I teach sex magic. Once we understand that consuming animals is black magic, this is a blood sacrifice. When you're going to get your steak, or you put the dairy milk in your coffee, you are literally practicing black magic. That is, and it's so basic and it's so vital for humans to understand. And I wish, and I know that it will take a few generations for the seeds that we're planting right now, to
Mm-hmm.
actually evolve into, to really get there, really
Consciousness.
get there.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So, but I'm glad we're doing it, because someone has to do it. So
Right.
thank you as well, because we really need that. And so I want to begin the conversation. This really could change everything for people once they really understand it. And I want to focus mainly today on how eating meat is destroying masculinity, right? Because we can talk for hours. We know we can talk for hours about many things, but I really want to specifically talk about masculinity. And my main mastery, like I said, is sex magic, and sexual energy creates life and can also help you stay young and healthy if you actually master transmutation correctly. But also what you eat, as I also mentioned, you can't create a true sacred union when you practice black magic, which is consuming animals. And today I want to discuss, again, this specifically for men, and to show how consuming animal and mucus affects your life force and physical and sexual health. So this will challenge many brothers, as it always does, and it will confront everything that the world has taught. It has taught them about strength and power and what it means to be a man and a real man and rah, rah, rah. But if you're ready, if those of you brothers who are truly ready to step into your highest potential and really become that sacred warrior of love, that warrior that is guided by his heart and not by the ego and not by society's stories or labels, we really need you. We really need men to wake up and to join the evolution of, and really, yeah, just to wake up. So I knew I had to have this conversation with you, like I said, Professor Spira, after I watched the recent video you had, which is Forget Keto and Carnivore, the Real Path to Becoming Hard. And I'm going to post a link to that video down below as well, with all of your links. So what you said struck a deep chord, right? Because society's obsession with hardness through stimulation and toxic consumption is more than just conditioning. It's a spell. Like, to me, I see it as a spell. And it's a spell that keeps us chasing power through destruction instead of creation, instead of co-creation as well. And again, when you're eating an animal, you're not seeing yourself as a part of life. You're separating yourself from life itself, instead of actually, this is a part of me that I'm actually eating. I am killing and eating a part of me, and I'm consuming it. It's really, when you look at it from a soul's perspective, it's horrendous.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you know what I'm talking about. And so I would like to hear your thoughts about this, on what's real power and that sacred embodiment of the masculine, and how we can begin to guide other brothers into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I say, the hard. If you really want to be hard, then you have to be in the physiological liberation, and that's what we talk about, which is the expulsion of physiological karma. It, we come up in these. I mean, we're all taught to eat meat. You're nursed into it. The human body literally has to be transitioned. You start as a breatharian, then you transition into liquidarian. If you have a halfway functional mother, then you have breast milk. But in our society now, they have these filthy formulas and all that. If you ever look at the ingredients in these formulas, it's abomination. Why would you give this to anybody, an animal, much less a human baby? But what that stuff does is it transitions you. It makes you filthy enough to be able to go eat at McDonald's. If you're clean, McDonald's will make you sick.
Yeah.
Burger King will make you sick. So you've been transitioned and you didn't know any better. But now we know better. It's like, okay, yeah, that not supposed to eat those things. The consciousness that I try to impart to people is to understand the to give you the outcome of your choices, where okay, you have two different choices, so you can stay down the bloody path and eating the meat and the processed foods, and that you can do that, which you can on this plane of existence. There's a certain level of liberty that we have, but you have to understand that you're signing up for the suffering that comes along with that. And if you do, that's fine. Because some people, they be like, oh, I'll never get off of. They literally are cool with having heart attacks and strokes and premature death because the gluttony has them. And I call this the planet of the stomachs. The gluttony is the key fatal sin of this reality on this plane of existence. It's the gateway to all other problems, all suffering in the world, all evil in this particular world. You can trace it all back to the stomach.
Yeah.
So if you choose to go the other path, what a lot of people don't like is they don't like the purgatory part of it, that early purge, where if you're used to being stimulated by dead animal flesh, coffee, tobacco, weed, I mean, whatever you're into, you're used to having your body and mind compromised by these poisons, then you're going to probably go through a period of time where you're not going to feel that great. You're not going to be able to, if you do marathons, you're not going to be able to run that marathon for a while. You're going to have to lay down, go through your physiological karma, and really expel all of that evil that you put in your system.
Yeah.
And not only you, but it's your bloodline. It's what your mother and father and grandparents and generations back. How many generations back do you have to go before you get to your fruitarian ancestors?
Right.
You know, some of us have a shorter or longer path, but we all have to. That just puts things into perspective, which is why I always teach transition. I don't teach, overnight trying to become a fruitarian or mucus free or anything. I'm a big advocate of the transition, but that's the path. So when people start talking about, okay, this hardcore thing, or yeah, I like to do hard stuff. I like to do things, what they say, do something that you don't like every day to condition your mind and to make you strong to be able to deal with reality. That was the kind of energy that I put into practicing the Mucusless diet healing system when I started. I've practiced the Mucusless diet healing system for 23 years. And I, who knows, if I hadn't started practicing the diet, I can't imagine how I'd look. I'd be so, I look so old and all, like, it's because I already, somebody thought I was half my age the other day. That's always a compliment. That's always nice.
Why don't you tell us our age? I want to hear your age.
I'm 42.
42, wonderful.
Yeah. So if you want to be hard, you want to really be around and do something hard, it's like, okay, get off of dairy. You get off of dead animal flesh. And can you be on a disease-free diet and then do whatever it is you think you're supposed to be able to do as a man? He was like, well, you want to go and do different types of physical activities and whatever it is you want to do to express yourself. Can you do that on a disease-free diet? Most people, and I've been the past couple months, I've been really into this fitness studies and getting deep into all these things and looking at what a lot of the fitness bros and these people, what they recommend to eat. And it's always, it just, it's like, well, I have 5 eggs.
Yeah.
And then, it's like protein all day, almost no carbs. It's like that's kind of
No fiber.
yeah, no fiber. It's just this fad stuff. And, but that's what they say. It's like, calories and you have a calorie deficit and high protein, mostly protein all day. It's like, but that's a disease causing diet. Yeah, you can lose weight doing that, but at the expense of acidosis, at the expense of you just increased your cancer. I mean, you can have a beautifully sculpted body with colon cancer and premature death.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can do that if you want, but can you find out what life is like existing on a disease-free diet? And the only disease-free diet is the mucusless diet healing system. Is a mucus-free diet, is an actually disease-free diet.
Yeah.
So when that becomes your goal, to like, okay, let me see if I can transition to a disease-free diet, then that's the paradigm shift that's truly needed. Because I mean, we could sit here all day and talk about all of the problems with the dead animal eating and the stimulation. When you see anytime you turn on the news and you see so and so murdered these people, or these people got raped, or these people got, or this person or whatever, all of the total tragedy of this planet. Always, most people ask the wrong question. Most people say, what were they thinking? The perpetrators. That's the wrong question. The proper question is, what were they eating? Because I can guarantee you they were not eating nothing but fruits and green leafy vegetables for any extended period of time. I'm not talking about somebody
death.
that they were eating death. And that is, we always talk about the dead animal flesh as a stimulant, get you high. That's why for most people, until the folks get off of meat, they don't know themselves, and you've never met the real person. Because most people generally in our society are on some type of drugs, whether they're, they can't get going. If the type of person is like, well, I really can't function without my coffee, or I need my Ozempic. I just saw his documentary on Ozempic. But whatever medications, that's another witch's brew of just total insanity. But most people, when you meet them, you're not talking to the sober version of that person. You really don't know who they are, and they don't know who they are, because they don't know until you remove the meat and you kind of really get a person onto an effective rational fast. That'll let you know where you're at. And what a lot of these guys don't like is they do that and you start to realize how weak you actually are. That all of this whatever stuff all this strength you think you have, go to a nursing home or a hospice and find me those. You can go talk to some of the bodybuilders that are in if they made it to their 70s, that are in their 70s, and see what kind of condition they're in, or just elders in general.
Yeah.
And so what we're saying is, if you can first find out who you actually are without the drugs, and truly get yourself sober and detox away as much of that karma, as much as the latent diseases, things that you are going to go through that you would usually go through later, but through this practice that we do, you can actually pull these things to you while you have a younger, more vital body, and you can remove these things from you. And that's what a lot of people ultimately pass away from, latent illnesses that if they were on this path, they could have brought those things out of themselves and purged those things when their body could handle it. But when they're trying to purge this stuff too late, and the body has already become decrepit, and it becomes a fatal elimination, as opposed to something that you go through when you're in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, or whatever age you're at, and it's not that big a deal. It's like, okay, yeah, you might have laid there for a couple of days and blew your nose or had some symptoms, but it took you a relatively short period of time. But that same elimination when you're 75 could prove to be fatal.
Exactly. Yeah. And
But
I want to really touch base about what you said about knowing yourself. So
mm,
this is so important for people to understand. Like, so I do medicine ceremonies with people. My medicine ceremonies are very unique. Like, it's insane actually what I do. So I ask everyone that comes work with me, they have to go through at least 30 days of not eating any animal products and no alcohol. And again, I'm not taking them through the whole actual physical purification like you do, because I'm just preparing them right now for the spiritual elevation experience. Because what people don't understand is when you're consuming these low frequency, what we call food, which is not really food, animals are not food,
right.
it lowers your frequency so much that you are susceptible to other low frequency entities. And so most human beings on the planet are literally possessed by demons, and they don't know it. And one of my gifts, and when I was younger, I felt like a fucking curse, but one of my gifts that I'm owning and I'm very grateful for is the ability to see demonic entities in people. And so I go very deep into the shadows of people. Like, I do some crazy shit in the shadows, in the darkness. So, I'm a light worker, but I'm a shadow worker. I'm a shadow warrior. So
Right.
the shadows cannot hide from me. They just cannot hide from me. So it's so important for people to understand what it does to them on a, not just the physical, but and it's all connected, right? The body, we know that the body and the spirit, the psyche, the mentality. And it's so true what you said, because people don't actually know themselves fully until they get rid of all these other entities and energies that are not them, that they've been just taking on.
Yeah.
And it's really beautiful to see how people flourish once they don't have these. When they even after a small period of not eating animals, there's already a shift in their energy body, in their physical body needs a little bit more time, but in their energy body there's already a shift. And you can see how a person can shift and expand. And now we can start. Now I can start doing spiritual work and actually get to know who the fuck I am, so that's a very, very important thing that you mentioned, and it's vital for people to understand, really. And so this is another paradox I want to explore, right? So the very foods that we're told make us stronger are the same ones causing the disease that kill us, like we talked about. But then we look at, professor the professor that you speak about, Arnold Ehret. I hope I'm saying his name correctly.
Ehret.
Ehret redefines what real strength looks like. So he walked for 56 hours straight after just a fruit meal. He biked 8-hour miles on a mucusless diet. He did intense farm labor while fasting. No creatine, no supplements, no dead fish, no chicken, no eggs, just pure clean energy. And so how do we reclaim that level of power now? How do we do that? Those of us who want to do that.
Yeah, I mean that's the physiological liberation that we're talking about. That's really, because what's liberating is to be able to have that level of vitality and also be on a disease-free, suffering-free diet or way of life.
Yeah.
And so most people that are doing these, whatever fitness things or the bodybuilding and the endurance athletes and that kind of stuff, generally their diet is horrible, and in our opinion. And so what we're saying is, what if you could liberate yourself to the point where you have even more energy than you used to have, and it's not based on stimulant? Arnold Ehret talks about his formula of life is vitality equals power minus obstruction, V equals P minus O, and you'll hear us mention that sometimes. But basically, what he's saying is the human body is an air gas engine. So our primal source of nutrition. I have problems with that term, the terminology and what people have done with it.
Mhm.
But the fundamental, most important piece of nutrition for us would be air and breathing oxygen, the breath process, which is what keeps us going. Most people are saying, well, I need to eat food for fuel. And I have a totally different paradigm. For me, the only reason that I eat is to aid my body in elimination. And that's it. So the what I have, well, that was yesterday. So all I had yesterday was, and I didn't mean, actually, I didn't mean to do a fruit fast yesterday, but I had, all I had yesterday was mangoes. I did 8 miles of walking and running during the day. I had a meal of mangoes. Okay. Well, all I've had today, I had half a pineapple today, and I've done about 4 miles earlier today. Uh, but how is that possible? Like, I shouldn't even be able to be sitting here talking to you because I'm so protein deficient. And it's like, I don't know, my arm feels pretty solid. Like, I don't know where this protein that I'm supposed to be getting.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to be, and I'm no athlete. I'm nothing I'm doing should be impressive. The only reason it is to people is because it's like, well, wow, you're not eating any protein. You're not doing this. It's like, no, and I am stronger today and have better cardio, better endurance today at 42 than I did when I was 17, 18, 19, just for
Yeah.
even when I started the diet. Like, it's gets better the longer I go.
The cleaner you
And
are, really, the cleaner you are, the stronger you get.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, the cleaner you are, the stronger you get. And if you're the type of person, if you're already athletic and you get into this path, then you're not going to lose. Say if you're somebody that's worked out, or good form, and that the kind of mindset and the discipline and those kinds of things, you're not going to lose that. You are reconstructing your entire body and bloodstream, so that becomes something what you're really working on. You're totally rebuilding your body from the ground up. But once you do, and you get back in the gym, or I mean, you might have to adapt and update your workouts for your new body, and you might find, yeah, like you can do way more than you used to be able to do, or there's maybe certain things that are not as easy, but you want to do others. But that, to me, is the journey. That's the exploration of really finding out what are we capable of? What are we supposed to be doing? I know that what I do know is that that kind of stimulant, because we're in a weird. We talk about masculinity. We're in a really strange period because because of the diet and all of the chemicals and all, just so many different reasons, there is a significant feminization of the male species, part of the species, and which is a bit mind-boggling because I didn't see that coming over the years. Just when I go back
Imagine
to,
being a woman right now, my brother. Imagine being a woman
woo,
right now. Let me tell you that. Let me
yeah,
tell you that. Not, it's not, no, it's not pleasant.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah. I'd imagine because I didn't. Yeah, because I'm pretty good at seeing certain things, is I predict stuff that's going to happen, and different social things and stuff. But I missed that one. I didn't know that folks, the guys, were going to really get that soft, and it's just supported and nurtured by the society.
Yeah.
And I've said before that the universe doesn't like a vacuum. So what happens if the guys are going to be more feminine and taking that type of attitude, and I'm not even talking about roles or what you're, it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not talking about none of that. I'm talking about internally where you are. And so when guys don't have that, then what's going to happen? Well, the girls are going to be, or the women are going to be more masculine because they're going to, again, the universe doesn't want to vacuum. They're going to fill that in. And so when I look out there at the, at what's going on in mainstream society, just in general, and courtships and all that kind of stuff. It's just like,
It's chaos.
ooh, it's backward.
It's absolute. It's not. It's even worse than backwards. It's chaotic right now.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I speak about this a lot recently because I just not just being a woman, but being a sex priestess and just really seeing the world through the masculine and feminine and this dance that we're dancing together all the time,
Hmm.
and the evolution or devolution of many of us, unfortunately.
Right.
I mean, I wow, I don't want to go on a rant right now, but like many women, we're giving up. I'm going to be honest with you. Many women are giving up because we either have these guys who are still stuck on the Neanderthal version of a masculinity, was like, rawr, I need to kill, I need to hunt, I need to I need to control, I need to manipulate women, I need to take from women, right? Like there's
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
toxic masculinity we all talk about. And then we have this super feminized men who are just, even, I don't know if they're worse than the other ones. Like I like, it's like we have no, we're like, what? That's what I got. That's what I got.
That's what you
And
get.
so, and so I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to be the man in this world right now too, and the woman and all of it, and the goddess and the god and all of it together. And so
Right.
it is a struggle. And the other side of this, masculine, game, not just with food, but again, consuming animals, it puts you in this mindset. It's a program, it's a specific program, right? So as a man, it's really hard for men to connect with their divine masculine energy. The way I explain it, it's there is that warrior who goes and fight for the government and wants to kill everyone because I'm strong and I need to shoot something and hunt and do all the stuff. But there's the warriors like, okay, I'm going to go to war because I need to protect. I need to protect my loved ones. I need to protect this
Right.
land. I need to protect life itself. I need to protect what's sacred. And so it's all like we're bombarded with programs in this world. Like, and food is one of the biggest, if not the biggest program that human beings are under. Like, and I call it a spell as well, because a program is a spell, really, when you think about it. And so I just really hope we wake up from this spell and uncurse ourselves, because when you're consuming an animal, you're cursing yourself quite literally. And and also, like, it's like you also mentioned something like that. I do believe that once we clean our physical vessel and choose differently, choose a higher path, we literally go on a higher path, so we can actually be on our highest timeline. And then
Yeah.
when people are still consuming this things, they're on the, like, they're not going to be on their highest timeline. So they're actually not only that they're not going to get to know themselves fully, but they're not going to live their highest potential and their highest life. So that's just very sad. That's just very sad, and I'm sure you get a lot of the, I need me to be strong, I need me to be masculine, like. And what do you think that true masculine power actually looks like through the lens, right, of like more evolved being and this physiological liberation, like, as a man?
I mean, for me, it's not, it's just like you said, like I'm not into that real braggadocious, that kind of alpha male 1.0 type of, beating on the chest and all. It's like, that kind of thing. It when it's real, kind of calm, uh, and don't need. So you don't need anything. You don't. Most, a lot of those guys, man, they need to control. They need the validation. They're weak egos. Is weak. So to me, it's just you're weak. It's like somebody doesn't bow to you, or you feel challenged, and it's like you got this real weak kind of uh, little personality, and so I just don't resonate with that or respect that. To me, uh, a real space is when you're driven. I always just talk about know thyself, which to me is principle. There's a few principles that we have. We have the do unto others as you would have them do to you. So if you're the type of person, if you want peace, then you would treat people peacefully. If you want chaos, then you can treat people that way. Uh, but there's that principle, and the principle receive for the sake of sharing. I mean, that's a good one. But that when you know why, if you know thyself and you know why you're here, if you're younger and you're still searching for that, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But you need to know that that's a priority. So once you find it, and then allow yourself to be driven, allow yourself to be obsessed with your path, the path that's chose you. And that was something that I've done. I'm saying all my life, but I was open enough to, whereas I ask a lot of questions. When I grew up, I had a mother that was very sick, so I spent a lot of time visiting her in nursing homes and hospitals. So as a young person, I was taking in this total environment of suffering all the time, and so these were the kind of questions that I was asking myself: is this normal? Because as a young person, I couldn't accept that this was a normal reality. They don't put this in movies. You don't see this level of suffering to the point where I would befriend or make friends with some elder who hasn't seen their adult children in years and years, and
Yeah.
then I show up one day and Rosie passed away last night. And it's like, well, I had cultivated this relationship with this person that passed away, and and then my parents, what I mean? It's like I know a lot of young people don't have that type of experience. I did, and it pushed me to investigate this to see, man, is this really how we have to live? Is this reality? Is this what's waiting for us? You could make all the money in the world and have all the riches of the pus and mucus type of world, land of milk and honey, and all the go to the Diddy parties and all that. You can live that lifestyle if you want. But I knew from a young age, I saw where it ended. Of sitting there drooling
Yeah.
in a wheelchair, and so I was like, man, is there a way out of that? Is there a way to, even if there's a chance to avoid that? How would you do it? And that led me to the Mucusless diet healing system. By way of, I see you got the Yogananda book is behind you there, that the Kriya Yoga, but that was, but before I learned about the Mucusless diet, I had a trombone teacher that told me about Kriya Yoga and Yogananda, and so I read that book. And I was in high school,
Yeah.
and then that was the first time I wanted to get off of meat because he promotes a certain kind of vegetarianism. But the realization that I had when I was trying to practice the yoga was I had chronic inflammation and mucus in my nose. So I couldn't do the exercises because you had to breathe through your
Right.
nose. And that wasn't happening. And so I was like, man, this is a real problem. And soon after that is when I got introduced to the Mucusless diet healing system. And I was like, well, that makes sense. You got to get rid of the mucus, and then I can breathe. And yeah, but the point is that because of those experience, and the little bit of wisdom that I was cultivating as a young person, I didn't give up. I was open. I was asking these questions that was something that was important to me. I wasn't asking where because a lot of this is value systems, and we have all these tools that you can use, all your visualizations and meditations, and that's fine. We can all use these tools. The question is, what's your consciousness, and what your value system and goals? You can use those tools to become a mogul and have Diddy parties if that's what you want. Or you could use those tools to find the cure for human illness and suffering. And that was what I was looking into. I wanted, is there an answer to human suffering? And I've studied all of the different religious responses to that, and religions and spiritual and all these different things. And it wasn't until I read the Mucusless diet healing system that it all clicked in, where I was like, this is it. This explains why, from the dietary standpoint, physiological standpoint, why there's so much suffering on this planet, and then the mechanics to remove it.
Exactly. And this really leads me to the next thing I want to talk about, was it's the evolution of us as a species, the spiritual evolution as well, because again, it's like you do all the, go to all the Tantra workshops and do all the ayahuasca ceremonies and do all the stuff. And I do medicine ceremonies. I teach sex magic. And I tell people that's not the point. That's not the vegan meat of the stuff. That's not the You have to first begin with your physical vessel. If you're just sitting there in a yoga pose and like saying love and light, and you're consuming an animal, there's zero love and light in this act. And so, and it
Right.
goes to the values, right? So we start with our values, really be authentic with these values, and then integrity. Am I really living in integrity with my words and my values? Am I actually living it? Or am I cutting corners because, I love to eat McDonald's and I'm just going to fucking eat McDonald's and then go do a yoga class? And you can, it's just, it's really sad to me, because I do see a lot of people with good intentions. I know that they do want to evolve and they do want to better themselves, but then they're stuck on that one. And I tell all my clients too, when it's really hard for them to go on a 30-day no animals, I'm like, how am I going to do that? But I want to work with Luna, so I'm going to have to do it. But guys, it's worth it. And then they see the shift in their energy, in the way they see life. Your vision of life becomes more evolved and more expanded as well. And so most men still chase the stimulation, right? The coffee, the meat, the supplements, the sex, thinking that that's energy. But what happens when we shift to a natural, clean diet, right? Like I want to say what really happens to a man when he does that shift. So let's talk about the purification process, which is physical and also happens physically. It also happens spiritually and energetically in your body. It all goes together. And how it can feel like weakness at first. We know that it can, sometimes you can feel like you're very weak or maybe even sick at first, but it's really the foundation of the true power that comes later on. And how a clean body, free from mucus, waste, and trauma as well, becomes a vessel for a higher consciousness, the way I always explain. So isn't that the essence of masculinity? To me, it is, because to me, divine masculine is here to serve. That men have been taught that, I'm a man, then you need to serve me, woman, and you need to do this, and I need to fuck all the girls because, that's but really a real divine man is here to serve. And you know how I spot a real divine man is that man in the corner of the room who's very quiet, who's not like showing off or talking too much or like being too loud or just talking your ear out. He's just quiet. He's there. He's presence. Because the masculine is the consciousness. The feminine is the subconscious. And so let's talk about that, like the purification process, especially the way you see it for men. And if you see maybe a difference for men and women, I'm curious about that, of the purification process that men and women go through. Again, to get to that power as a man, the power that creates, not destroys, that is full of presence, that uplifts and not dominates, right? So
Yeah. Well, I mean, you just said it right there. Creates, that creative spark, the creator, and that dynamic where we have millions of potential humans that one man can create. If you're clean enough and you had your priorities and situations in order, if that was what you were supposed to do, the capability, you don't have to, the capability is there. Most people squander that. They throw that in the like literally in the toilet, and
literally.
and they just and it's like when you were talking about the masculinity, that calm confidence. It's the difference where, like, you talking about some of the young guys, these guys that they're real loud and that brash,
Even
and
old
and
guys,
there's,
even old guys.
well, yeah, and older, yeah. And there's a time and a place where you can, but nah, it's different when because what I've seen with most of those guys is their self-esteem is strange. They're actually not secure. That's really this little fake thing that they're putting out there, this mask, and they're actually not actually secure. And but when you talk about what does it take to clean yourself out, to cultivate your masculinity, you can also cultivate the femininity if you're a woman. So first, and I don't know if you recommend this to your people on their 30 days, but we practice distilled water and lemon juice enemas. Now that to us is the greatest cleansing tool for the physical body that we have. And it's interesting. You go in a scene gospel of peace. That I love how it's just articulated in that piece of literature where it's like, you take the gourd and put water, the angel of water in the gourd, and warm the water in the sun, and then suffer the end of the gourd into your hind parts and let the water come into your body, and then you expel out all of the impurities and abominations of the devil out back out into the earth. And that's real.
Yep.
That's really what we got to do, because you're talking about parasites. You're talking about, if you eat meat or have
Yeah,
ever
parasite.
eaten meat, you have worms in you right now. You have tapeworms. You got all these little parasites. All this stuff is in there. And so, like I said, again, when you meet somebody, you're not really talking to that person. You're talking to their parasites, to their all the demonic things that they've opened themselves up to. And so that becomes part of the purification. This is a therapeutic process. Healing, because a lot of people, I work with people when they're already have been diagnosed with some. Oftentimes it's usually it takes a very wise person that's already healthy physically to find this information and be like, yeah, I want to check this out. A lot of people, they wait until they're really sick, or they get a diagnosis that's really scary, or the doctor says that we don't know how to help you. Then they come over finding the Mucusless diet healing system, and it's like, okay, then we go through our process, and it's, well, what's your symptoms, what you've been eating, what that kind of stuff. But for a lot of people, just getting that colon clean, doing 2 weeks worth of lemon juice and distilled water enemas, and then people, they start seeing all the slime and mucoid plaque and worms and all this stuff starts coming out. And they're like, I didn't know that was in there. And their back pain goes away, and their joint pain starts going away, and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, there you go. That's what we're talking about. And
Yeah.
so it's about cleanliness. So we talk a lot about that cleanliness, the internal cleanliness. I'm on the outside. I like getting dirty, and I'm in the dirt every day doing my push-ups and my stuff in grass. But so many people are so. That's something that weirds me out when I see a child or a man like have a problem with dirt. They get some dirt on there and they're like, oh, dirt. I'm like, how filthy you are inside. You literally have the worst waste, toxic waste in you, and you're worried about some mud on your.
Yeah, I
That
know.
makes no sense, but that's the thing. It's like I'm interested in internal cleanliness.
Yeah.
And I've been doing the van life, and I got my setup. I can do my lemon juice distilled water enema in my van. And so I got my little. I'm gonna make a video one day where I actually
Oh my
walk.
gosh, please. I need it for my minivan too. Because I did it.
Yeah,
I did my enema once in like the forest.
yeah,
It's
oh
like,
yeah,
I mean, it was cool. It was cool.
yeah,
I'm just a woman all by myself in the forest. I'm like always worried that this, someone's gonna come. But yeah,
yeah.
enemas are great. I actually send a couple of my clients to you to watch your videos too. So it's I'm so happy I found you, like I said, because this is really a wonderful path. And yeah, it's it's funny because I feel like we're doing the same thing in different ways. Like I'm doing the spiritual work, you're doing the physical work. Because like when people come to me, I literally I do like a spiritual enema. Like I cleanse
Mm,
the entities from them, and then I always tell them to go, you need to do an enema, just do it. And I love enemas, just do enemas. But that way you said, with like that specific way of doing enema, I love that, and I'm going to recommend that for sure. Yeah,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah, yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, exactly. It's like, and people, men especially, you love your cars so much. You change the oil and you take care of your cars
Mm-hmm.
clean so much, and you don't even to clean your colon, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Like
it's
most people
and
take care of their car better than their bodies.
yeah, yeah. No, and to say a word for all the guys that to put into perspective, and there's guys that have some type of whatever fear of some homosexual kind of phobic, I don't know, whatever
Yeah.
problem they have with like, oh, nothing goes in my boot. I mean, there was a comedian, and I don't want to speak ill of the dead or anything. I won't say his name, but I mean, there literally was a comedian that was several comedians, but one that passed away prematurely that that had a whole joke about like, oh, nothing, don't mess with your booty hole, type of thing. And so there's that attitude with certain guys that have a problem where they're like, oh, I can't, and I'm like, look, and again, this comes from a perspective of somebody that grew up in nursing homes, seeing what the reality is. So
Yeah.
you can either do do it yourself, suffer the angel of water yourself, where you're controlling it, or you can have a nurse cleaning your bedpan. Like, because I mean, is that more masculine? Where you have to lay there and when you have to go to the bathroom, you have to hit a button. A nurse comes, gives you a pan, like pushes you over to the side. They put the pan under you. Then you're on this uncomfortable pan in a bed, laying there, and you if you still if provided that you still have control over your bowels. And there's the people that don't even do that. They would have the depends and the colostomy bag and all that kind of stuff. But if you do have a nurse doing that, then they have to come back in, put you back over to the side, take it out, and they dispose of it. And you don't want to do a lemon juice and distilled water enema, but you're cool with that. You're cool
Yeah.
with having a nurse come in, and might even be a male nurse. Don't even think that it'd be some cute
Gonna be a
like,
sexy, beautiful young nurse
nah,
who's gonna do
nah.
that.
It's like an old man nurse. Think of that nurse coming in and changing your stuff. And that's what I'm saying. What if you didn't have to go down that road? What if you could really take care of your body to the point where you slow down the aging process so dramatically, and you maintain your muscle and your energy and all that kind of stuff? Like, what would you be prepared to overcome your addictions to pus and mucus to live a longer, higher level life,
Right.
free of pain and suffering?
Yeah.
uh that's the question, and that's a choice that people have to make, because we've now given them an opportunity to make that choice,
Yeah.
which is kind of my job. It's like, well, here's, I don't care what you do with the information, but here's the information. Now you have other options, because a lot of people don't know they have options. They just think all they have is, well, here's a grocery store, here's a fast food restaurant. It's like, no, you don't have to live in that reality at all. There's a whole other kind of situation that you can get into that is really about true longevity, true health, and and like I said, really finding out who you are.
Yeah.
'Cause if you go through that, what the mucusless diet does as a path, as a physiological path, but it's also a spiritual path. It's going to force you to confront and deal with any negative emotions that you have. That as you start doing fasting and things, that's going to come up to the surface. And if you don't have methods, I mean, I have different emotional release techniques that I use, but there's a lot of stuff out there. But if you don't know how to let that stuff come to the surface and let it go, you're not going to be able to heal at the highest levels. You're not going to be able to really feel great. Uh, but this path, it forces you to deal with those emotional traumas and issues. Forces you to elevate yourself spiritually and so it might start you're focusing on the physical, but everything else comes into play.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. But to me, that this is the work. This is that type of the most important work that we can do. And when we take that energy, a lot of people out there, if they know, like the David Goggins, and I like him, I like his stuff and that kind of that mentality. But what I did was I took that type of internal dialogue that I had, because I did do sports and things, and was around men and Boy Scouts and this kind of stuff and military people. So I had the and at the same time, I had a real high self-esteem and unconditional love for myself. And so I'm able to cuss myself out. I'm able to
Yeah.
be hard on myself because what I used to do, I had shared my internal dialogue with people years ago, and it made them feel really uncomfortable because I was like being hard on, I was just kind of like giving them a little glance into what my internal dialogue can be when I'm pushing myself. But they felt uncomfortable because they were like, well, if he's talking about him to himself like that, like, what's he think of me kind of thing? And I'm like, no, don't think about it like that because I'm not sitting here, I'm not judging you. I'm just saying that this is the kind of intensity that's required sometimes to do what it is, what your goals are. What do you, my
Right.
goal is physiological liberation. So, I'm
Yeah.
pushing myself, uh, and I just, push myself really hard. And at the same time, I got really, we talk about the suffering and the karma and that kind of stuff. Anytime I would start to feel sorry for myself, I immediately cut that out. And I would
Yeah.
say, no, look, you, for every tear that an animal dropped, every time an animal was taken away from its mother, and like you have to feel every bit of that. And so, but that's what I found to be so important with these tools that we have is the enemas, and then the transition and the fruits and going through this purification is we can actually pull and go through all the suffering that we have to, that we karmically have to go through. We can control it and siphon it off at a reasonable rate so that it doesn't just hit. Because you've seen people
Yeah. Exactly.
when it hits them all at one time and with no transition, and then they have nervous breakdowns and just say they
Yeah, the nervous system can't take it. Like
yeah
on all the levels of the physical, the spiritual, it can be too much. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah
I agree with you. And yeah, for me, it's really the human evolution, For me, it's all about the human evolution and the body, the mind, the soul, the spirit, our karma, what the fuck what are we doing? What are we doing? Seriously, we're not doing well.
yeah yeah. No, this is a real, because see, people really think that that we're here to stay, that this reality. I'm like, nah, man, we could be extinct tomorrow. I mean, if we don't get ourselves together and do what we were designed to do and be what we're designed to be, what makes us think we're more special than
Exactly.
the other humanoid cousins that they found that were extinct? It's like we can definitely be extinct, and sooner than later if we don't get it together. And there's a lot of people that's not going to make it. Uh, but as a species, because I say we can uh, evolve. It's like Homo sapien to Homo spiritus. That there's a level that we can get to if we really get on this path and get ourselves together physiologically. But yeah, there's a lot of the chaos of this world. It's an interesting, like you said, timeline. It's an interesting way to time to be where you have get to experience a true purgatory where
Yeah.
all of this stuff is happening. 'Cause in one in on the same plane of existence, you can have a group of people over here meditating and doing how to body travels, and over here you got the Diddy parties and the Hollywood stuff going on, and over here, I mean, and everything in between. And so we use that to our advantage in terms of this, there we having a certain level of autonomy
Yeah.
to make choices, to where, because what happens is if you don't make the right choices in terms of natural law, then eventually your ability to make the choice will go away. And what that can look like for a lot of people is, it's like my friend brother Air says, uh, you can stop eating on your own, or you can be forced to stop eating, but you're going to stop eat. At some point, you're going to stop eating the things that you're not supposed to eat.
Yeah.
Uh, can you do it soon enough so that you can preserve your life and not wait? No, just going down this barbecue. We just had this ridiculous tradition. They get the 4th of July. Everybody, I was doing a walk. It was like 9 in the morning, and I was doing my little walk jog in a neighborhood, and I already could smell barbecue pits.
Oh my God,
Like
ew.
9 in the morning, people are barbecuing, getting ready for. I'm like, it's this early because usually you're not gonna start get into all that into the afternoon. But it was like, man, people were ready to go, and in the firework. And I don't know if you know anything that July 4th madness, but it's so stimulate. It's a whole celebration of
Yeah.
stimulation. So they got fireworks and just
And
all over the
beer
place.
and and beer and
Yeah, beer, alcohol, loud music. It's just a celebration of
of death,
gluttony and ignorance
of
and
death.
of death, and that's the I always say death, Death, the E operative word in the middle of death, EAT, eat,
Yeah.
on the planet of the stomachs where gluttony reigns supreme. It's all right here. It's like all the message is right here, but people don't like the message. They want to stay in in ignorance and in
Yeah.
that drunken stupor. It's like don't take my drugs away from me. Don't the alcohol and all this kind of stuff. And that's why I say like I haven't no meat in 23 years, no alcohol, no smoking, no, it's like
Yeah. Yeah. And
I'm
and
still here.
the fact is this, that most people are going to want to stay in the matrix, so to speak. Most people are going to want to stay asleep. I don't care. Just give me my meat. I'm going to go to the nursing home. I'm going to live my life, go to my 9 to 5. I don't want to evolve. I don't care about this shit. I don't care about the animals. I'm just going to do this. But we are talking to the people who actually want to evolve, who actually feel there's something wrong here. There's something more to life. There has to be something more to life. And really, it's really comes down to, I always say this, it really all comes down to know thyself. This is like the Jesus, like main message of like know thyself on all levels, on your body, your mind, your spirit. So yeah, that's very important. So we're going to continue. Sorry, we took a little break. So for many men, the truth about reclaiming authentic masculine powers is clear, but the fear of that period of weakness, during the transition holds them back. True transformation requires real courage, that willingness to face the discomfort and let go of the old ego-driven strength, so to speak, that fake strength, that temporary, like voluntary, because it's momentary, right? It's not a setback. It's just a momentary feeling when you're going through the transition. It's the essential process that leads to lasting spirit-based power aligned with life itself. It's about moving beyond control and domination into true strength, that really protects and creates, like we spoke before. So in your Professor Spira, for men standing at this crossroad, afraid to step into the face of discomfort, what guidance could you offer them to help them embrace this path and reclaim their true authentic masculine power and physical health?
I mean, it's like how bad do you want to live a disease-free, righteous life? And that's and it is hard. It's hard to sell that to young people that want all the trappings of the nonsense and the and but for me, it's like I guess the part that I could the way that I could bring it to particularly to younger people, but just anybody, it's like that when a lot of younger people will have that kind of rebellious thing. And I say that there's nothing more revolutionary than learning what to control what you put in your mouth. Uh, Physiological liberation, the path of that. I mean, that's I mean, just going into places, I'll disrupt and I don't say anything. I'm
Yeah.
just my presence when I come into some place, people start getting nervous and this, and they're like, they'll because what that is that's the real. consciousness on patrol, cop, really consciousness on patrol. You go back in the day, you didn't need people running around with guns and
Yep.
weapons. It just their presence would make you, uh, just it's like, oh, like the children. It's
Oh yeah.
and uh, and I got a chance to experience as a younger person years ago when I first started to diet. I would just notice that because I'm like the youngest person in the room, but all these people act like I'm this adult. Like I walk in and everybody kind of, they're changing what they're doing, and I'm just like, don't mind me if you want you keep drinking your milkshake. I'm not saying nothing, but they know it's like they don't have to. I don't have to say anything.
Subconsciously,
But
they know exactly.
yeah,
And that's
but
why the respect that they have, and it's all happening subconsciously. It's like I can't. It's the same for me, by the way. I can't, like, that's why I'm laughing, because I'm like, I'm having the same experience my whole entire life. Like, people literally tell me they're afraid of me. People that didn't even know me, like, oh, you're scary. Like, I'm afraid of you. But it's the energy. It's like, it's the deep subconscious respect of, like, I know there is something that it's not about me. Like, it's not that I'm better or anything, but that person is holding some sort of frequency that subconsciously their soul, their spirit knows that they want, because it's also the truth of who they are. And so, but they're still not connected to that. And their other shadow parts, or like little girl or little boy, are like, they're the ones who are up front. Hopefully I'm making sense. They're the one that's up front. And so they're feeling it like oh, that person is scary, that person's intense. But really it's there's something that your soul is craving. There's something that we just symbolize, and we're just showing you, mirroring to you, that your soul is really craving for.
yeah,
I see it.
yeah. And I like to tell men that are either lonely or there's this new uh trend, men just talking all this stuff about women and, oh, women ain't nothing and this and that and all these weird little communities, the pill communities or what. I don't really understand a lot of that stuff, but I know red and gold pills and whatever, black pill.
Oh,
I don't
what's
know.
that? Oh my gosh, that sounds.
I don't know. It's this whole, well, I mean, it's in the realm, from what I understand, there's these different pill communities, and some of it is like in incels. It's like these guys that have given up on women, and women are like, oh, they're all nasty and
Oh.
bad, and I'm just gonna, and there's it's just very weird. I mean, it's this kind of younger generation, but there are these little weird movements, and to me, and that kind of speaks to what we were talking about earlier with just the loss of masculinity, because there's certain guys in that group, they take on that Andrew Tate type of energy of wanting that the domination thing, but then there's other guys that take on this real, oh, the world is horrible and everything is bad and women, I'm never going to touch a woman again. It's like, and all this weird, and it's like, well, as if they had, like, that's this choice they're making. It's like, ain't nobody wants you to touch them, but because you ain't nothing. It's like, I was gonna say, you ain't shit. It's like, you ain't. I'm used to making videos for big, family friendly stuff, so I generally don't cuss a whole lot. But
You can cuss here. I cuss all the time. That's so
okay,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
this
I
is
cuss all the time. This is not. This is a sex magic place.
yeah,
Also,
this
you
is
can cuss.
yeah. But it's like, but that's the thing. Yeah, when I'm talking to these guys, I'm like, man, you gotta. Women are waiting on us to do the work.
Yep.
That's it. That's it. Like, you can't be complaining about, oh, there's a whole segment of these guys that want to, go back to the 1950s and have the subservient women and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, uh, that's on you and your energy, and but so there's nothing to complain about. It's like, you have work to do.
Yeah.
They don't like that message. They want to, they want it to be some other kind of reality. And it's like, man, you got to get yourself together. That's what I'm telling guys. Is like, you, there's nothing more important than you getting yourself together. Clean up your seeds,
Yeah.
clean up yourself. And when it's time to procreate and create, uh, relationships and all that kind of stuff, then you'll be clean enough to actually go into a relationship with the cleansing, with that cleansed energy, as opposed to most people it's these real toxic pathetic, codependent, weird dynamics that last a very short period of time, and then they're on to the next toxic encounter. And it's like, well, what if you just shut yourself down for a while and really figured out who you were, clean yourself up, and then go back out into the world, then open yourself up to relationships and whatever, that kind of stuff. But that's the key, man. Guys are not doing the work.
Yeah,
Just thinking
very
very
sad.
very entitled, just thinking that everything is just gonna just supposed to come to you, and it's all so easy. And it's like, man, we got work to do.
We got a lot of work to do. And it's really, it goes back to know thyself, really, because when we're in this place, you don't have two people coming together. You don't have a man and a woman, or woman and woman, it doesn't matter the gender, but you don't have two people actually meeting each other. You have their masks, their demons, their shadows meeting each other. So it's not the actual authentic version, real version of the person. Because again, they're just full of shit, like quite literally, energetically, physically, spiritually. And so we have to, again, know thyself. Like I tell people, like, you just broke up with this person, be alone for a few months, go get to know yourself, cleanse your body, cleanse your spirit, cleanse your soul, and then go back there. Like, people are so afraid to be alone. I know you and I are like loners, like we said, but it's like, I love being alone because the most important relationship was with yourself. That's really the only relationship when we really think about it. Like, there's no other relationship. The rest of the relationships are wonderful. I love my friends, I love my sisters, I love my brothers, but do you know yourself fully, your shadows, your light, and all that's in between, and all the gray spots? And can you actually connect to source, to the divine? You want to call it God, great. You want to call it whatever it is, but that's the way we can actually evolve. And that's really the way I think we can actually connect with each other, because there is no actual connection if I'm coming at you with my shadow. If you're coming at me with your shadow, we're not actually talking. It's both of our shadows talking, and like, blah, 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 good luck with that. That's never going to last. So,
Right.
so yeah,
Yeah.
that's the problem with people today. They don't want to do the work. They want the comfort. They want the quick, oh, I got a TikTok advice from this guy. That's great. That's all I need to know. Like, let's just follow that. Like, yeah. So, I've been sharing for years on how eating dead food blocks our natural energy flow, and how keeping the body clean is essential for life force to move freely. This is very important for sex magic, and for people who want to study actual sex magic and Tantra and sacred union. What some people call Kundalini in the spiritual community. I don't like that word, really. But so you can call it Tantra. Again, I don't like those words. All the plant medicine, all the spiritual retreats in the world, you can do them. They could be wonderful. But if your body is filled with the energy of death, you're not ascending, you're just performing, right?
Yeah.
And the truth is, eating animals really wires your body with violence, fear, destruction, suffering. You're taking on the suffering of this animal, and you can't really hold any divine light in a vessel vibrating with suffering. So I'd love to hear, you've already said it, but your why purification is such a crucial step. And I tell people all the time, it's not the only step. I've met some really nasty human beings who are vegans, right? Like, that's not the only thing that's important, but it's
Right.
a basic, very crucial step to take, and you can't skip that step. Before genuine spiritual awakening can happen. And how does the mucusless diet specifically support life force energy awakening and the flow of life force in the body? Because I'm curious, because I for you to talk about that, because that's really my work with
Hmm.
actual sacred union and sexual energy. People can be in relationships all the time and have sex all the time, but doesn't mean it's a sacred union. My mission is to bring people to sacred unions, because I really know with every part of my being that more sacred unions are going to save this fucking world, and are going to
Yeah.
help heal a lot of this world. So yeah.
So, in the Mucusless Diet book, Arnold Ehret talks about something that's controversial to some people, but he claims and says that the Immaculate Conception was really about uh, two clean people coming together.
Oh, I
You got
love that.
two clean. So when you start to talk about perfection and trying to cleanse yourself, and if you have a partner and both of you have been cleansing themselves for years, Now you have the opportunity to, as Ehret says, to have a genius, to have
Exactly.
offspring that are going to actually be cleaner and better than you, instead of the opposite, where what's happening now through this degenerative process
Evolution.
is, yeah, the de-evolution. We're having it's like you go to a copy machine and you start with an original copy, and if you take a copy and keep copying by the time you get several layers deep, the copy is all kind of messed up and it's like
Okay.
disheveled. And that's basically what's been happening with humanity. It's a each copy is a degenerated version. And the only way that you can reverse that is you have to have parents that start to clean themselves up first. Then you have children, and you don't put them on garbage and transition them into garbage. Because I've have parents and people that I've worked with or just seen over the years, and they'll try to do what they're doing with the diet, but they don't want to put their children on it, or they want their children to experience birthday cakes and
Yeah.
Christmas cookies or something, or parties. And I'm just like, but that's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
What we could get to as a species, if you have uh, and my prediction is 2 to 3 generations. If you get, okay, you get a couple people, and we're just at the level, this is the pioneers. We're just trying to get it together. It's like we're going to do as best we can. But when we have children, and those children are and you bring them up on the mucusless diet, then if when they get old enough and they have children with some other children that practice the mucusless diet, now you're starting to talk about humans that will not understand disease as we know it. They won't be able to they can read about it, like we can read about certain things from history and we don't really understand it, but we can read about it. That's how disease is going to be for them. They're really not going to understand that experience because they will be disease free. They will be the supermen and superwomen to us and where we're at, because that's the real cleansing. That's the real physiological bloodline cleansing, where you go several layers deep and you can truly I think it can happen. To me, that's fast.
Yeah.
Uh,
2, 3 generation is fast.
two, three
Yeah. And we can
generations is
totally do that.
totally
Yeah.
just transform the whole human species in 2 or 3 generations. But that's the work that we have to do. That's what's going to be required, is that type of cleansing, people coming together around the cleanse, around the mucusless diet, as opposed to just coming together based on stimulation and based on all that. It's like, no, let's come together. And this is something I learned from my friend brother Air, because he had come together with his partner based on practicing the mucusless diet healing system and trying to wanting to start a family around it. And
Yeah.
so creating a family around the mucusless diet, around the cleansing process and the elevation of the body, mind, and spirit. It's like when you start to put families together like that, and where that's the value system, it's not about who's got the greatest car or whatever people are into today with their material possessions and their Rolex watches and all this stuff. It's like when you really understand that the highest value thing is a clean physiology, is a clean body, unobstructed mind and spirit. You're asking about how you can have that energy flow. It's all about vitality equals power minus obstruction. Most people have unending amounts of obstruction in their body, in their life. They allow themselves to have relationships with obstructed people. And I'm just saying, like friendships, romantic entanglements, whatever, with obstructive entities and people, because then that matches the chaos inside them. So they always talk that law of attraction terminology is overused and watered down and disheveled, but the principles of that spiritual technology is real, to
Yeah,
the extent that whatever it is, or you put that work into yourself and you clean yourself up, you're going to attract that. You're going to attract that energy back. If you're not doing anything and you're just, or you're getting drunk every weekend and getting into your drugs and living that life, then that's going to be the fruits of that are gonna manifest. So
absolutely.
so it's a choice. It's the choice of what do we want. For me, I'm yeah, I'm proud to be a part of attempting to to elevate and transform the human species, to get back to some level of rationality and uh transform. The culture has to change, the consciousness, all these things have to transform, and they are transforming right now. It's just that it's not going to be the most popular thing, where people are always like, well, it's because so many people in our society base value on is something popular or not. It's like,
Exactly.
is this popular? Is this does this have my influencers? Do they sign off on this? And it's like,
Yep.
you're gonna miss it if that's how you think. You're gonna miss the opportunities, because by the time something gets popular or gets signed off on, it's usually too late. By
Yeah.
that time, it's already been watered down, or it's been co-opted in some way, or something like that. And that's one reason that the mucusless diet healing system isn't everywhere. Because what happens is, so a lot of the people that the gurus that people like to follow, that are the more famous type of guru people, they all know about the Arnold, Ehret, and the mucusless diet, but they don't talk about it. You'll find one little thing in a book somewhere that they buried deep, where they're
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, the mucusless diet. It's like, as opposed to, and then whatever, usually what they're sharing is watered down type of stuff
Right.
that the masses can deal with, as opposed to give people the real stuff and then just let them deal with it. It's like, yeah, maybe you won't make millions of dollars doing that, but you're gonna have really give people the tools to be able to transform themselves, as opposed to just playing games, messing around.
Yeah.
uh it's like, man, we got too much work to do to just be messing around like that.
I think this is amazing because like I didn't know all this about you, right? Because but this is why I saw like a couple of your videos. I saw your energy field, I saw your heart, your soul, and I'm like, I need to talk to this guy because this is what I really honor about what you do. And I'm literally living the same thing. Whereas even in the Tantra, sacred sexuality world, I am like the least known and the least kind of popular because I don't give the water down stuff. I'm going to give you the real shit. I'm not going to fluff it up for you. This is what you need to do to create a sacred union. It's not all about the beautiful Instagram vision that they give you about, oh, say, so many people use these words today too. Say, I'm in a sacred union. No, you're not in a sacred. You're in a polyamorous place where you're fucking 5 people at the same time, and you're eating animals, and you're doing this. You're not in a sacred union. I will respect you if you speak the truth. If you're like, I'm polyamorous, I'm eating this, I'm doing that. Great, I respect that. Don't put a beautiful label on it. Charge people $10,000 to come to a retreat with you, and give them the lie. Give them the lie. And it's crumbling now. Even in spiritual community,
Mm.
these fake gurus are falling right now. And I tell people, my clients come to, in a few clients have come to me in ceremonies last year, and they spoke about these other people who claim to be a priestess and talk about Tantra and stuff. And I'm like, guys, I'm not worried. I'm not worried because I know that eventually the truth is the most important thing. It's going to cleanse out all of the fake people who are like, when you have a voice, this is what I think. If I have a voice, if I have a platform, I don't care if I have 5 people following me or 5 million people following me, I have a responsibility. My
Mm.
responsibility, first of all, is for the Divine Mother, which I've given my life to, and it's in my blood. I have given my life to this mission, and the mission is the most important thing. I know that everything that I teach is not going to be also welcomed in this lifetime. Probably the sisters of the temple have told me 2 or 3 generations, your information will be started to be received. So I'm here not rich, not making $1 million like the other priestesses who lie and manipulate and sleep with people and completely destroy sacred sexuality, right? With this fake persona. I'm like, I'm gonna just keep doing my thing. We have to. It's really, and it's funny because like I'm a loner and I like to be alone most of the time. I'm a hermit, so to speak, but I love humanity more than anything because otherwise I wouldn't do this. This is not easy. Like the mission that I chose is not easy. And I know that the mission you chose is not easy. Like to speak the
Yeah.
truth in a world that is full of lies and fake truths and distortion of truth. It's a very difficult mission to choose. So thank you for doing that, first of all. And yeah, we gotta keep doing that. We gotta keep doing that. So in your opinion, also, I want to talk about integrity. How does integrity in your daily habits, like diet, play into achieving this authentic path? Because I know integrity is very, very important for us.
Yeah, I mean, that comes back to that, the masculinity, and it's like, do what you say you're going to do. I mean,
Yeah,
if you're doing something, or you claim something, or what's the young guys these days, they say stand on business and all that kind of stuff. If you're going to do that, then do it. Then be the real version. But right, there's in this era, there's so many actors. Everybody's an actor, and it's just like, man, you're fake, and just be real. And so that's, to me, that's the integrity, is just being real. That doesn't mean you don't have to share, because that's the other thing. It's you're not required to share your life with the world through social media. It's
exactly.
like,
Just do your like. No one has to know about your personal life.
yeah. It's like the was it Goggins called the unseen work, the work that you do that nobody sees, no one hears about, but they feel it when they talk to you. They're like, okay, there's something different here. But that's to me, the real, the real masculinity, the real, but humanity for anybody, woman
Humanity.
or
Yeah.
man. It's like that being able to do that work, where there's not a pat on the back for it. There's not people supporting you every step of the way. It's like you're driven down a path. It's like, okay, I know that this is right. It's like, I know it's righteous. I know it's right. So I'm gonna do it, regardless of if there's pushback, if there's different issues. We used to, when I first started practicing the diet, we used to do these protests at barbecues and stuff. There was this a city barbecue where they were giving all this free hot dogs and things away to homeless poor people.
Oh gosh.
And I'm like, no, this isn't. They have a whole line of homeless people, all these people that are trying to get in there. And of course, everybody they have this real ignorant kind of happy, like, oh, we're doing something good for the community, and then so we were out there. We had our musical instruments and signs and all that, and we're just like, no, we're not gonna let you just be sweetened in your ignorance and be real comfortable here. It's like, this is not how you help people. This is not how you elevate the community, handing out hundreds of free hot dogs.
Yeah.
This isn't it. Now if you wanted to hand out a bunch of pineapples and mangoes and apples and make some fresh juice for people, then that's where we need to get to, in terms of consciousness. But I brought that up just for the fact that that's the kind that, to me, that's the real test of of your ego. Because there's a lot of people that wouldn't be able to do that. They'd have some type of, I mean, I spent years playing music on the street as a street musician and doing, all kinds of different things that some people would look at and they would have an ego problem with it, where they like, oh, I don't want people to think that I'm homeless, or I don't want people to think it's like, and that's the problem. You care what people think about you. That's not masculine. That's being a
Yeah.
bitch. It's
Yeah.
like,
It's not
oh,
being a leader. It's not being a
no.
leader. No.
And so that's to me, when you talk integrity, just do what you say you're going to do. But we were talking about earlier, first you need to find out who you are. And so you do that work, that in-depth work, the content. I do a lot of contemplation, whatever practices you use of contemplations or meditations or just being alone. Going, I mean, when I start talking about that kind of stuff, I've actually seen that scare people more than anything because, and for me, it's preferable. That's the loner thing. But when I tell people, take a week and don't talk to any humans, like go off in the woods somewhere, go, you know what I mean? Like figure out who you are, because most people, uh, if you grow up, say, and you have a lot of people that have siblings growing up, or just people that if you're constantly communicating with other people, that puts you in a different headspace. It's that you're able to actually be stimulated through this human interaction, and you're not able to contemplate at that point. You're communing. You're communing with another person, and that's beautiful. That's great. But if that's all you do and you don't have that time alone to get deep into figuring out who you are and the contemplation and creating a really great relationship with yourself, then you're susceptible to be controlled by the media, by the masses, by your partner, by whatever's going on around you. You're not grounded and solid. And that's another thing, and I've been talking about more recently, is because I will work with people that get into some of these spiritual communities, or they come out of the spiritual communities where it's all about love and light and faith, and there it's a lot of it is head stuff. It's like they kind of live in their head. And I'm saying, look, I've done all that stuff and did all kinds of travels and out of body. I've done all that stuff within the context of the Mucusless diet, long fasts and going in all kinds of places. But the message that I got was, first of all of that it's already in you. You don't have to go anywhere. You are all of universe and creation is already inside of you. So while you're in this particular experience, why not be super grounded here and master this?
Exactly.
You got people that are trying to master traveling to different planets and things, and your body's a cesspool of filth.
Yep. It's literally what I'm telling people all the time.
What are you doing? It's like, why don't you master this here? And what I found is really doing things that is very grounded here in this. And I've been doing it. My van life travels. I'm on the trails in the woods every day. I'm someplace. I do my walk, my 4-mile walk, and sometimes I'll do 8 miles and in the day, and I'm just going around to different places. Like today, I just right here. There's like a mile that goes around this complex, and there's all these woods and stuff that's around here, and I just did my walk in here. But for me, that's an everyday thing. That's not like a vacation where some people. My life would be like a vacation for them. Like, oh, I went out in the woods, and I got dirty today. It's like, man, I'm doing it every day, because that's really what feeds our soul, to sound super whatever a cliched, like, what do you do something to feed your soul?
Right.
And it's like, surround yourself with nature, get in the dirt. But that's the real, you say, find yourself. There's a reason people aren't happy. There's so many people, and sometimes it's almost like you got to let people. There's some people. I asked this question yesterday. It was like, what pieces of wisdom and this is different for each person, but what pieces of wisdom is somebody capable of hearing and absorbing and learning from hearing it, and what pieces of wisdom do they have to experience through just going through it through experience. And it's better. The best situation is if you are a wise person and you can take in a message and let that alone change you. But there's a lot of things where people are going to have to go through the suffering to learn. And that's what, I think Jim Carrey had a quote that's kind of speaks to this, where he's like, I wish everybody could become rich and do all the things that's in their head so they could realize that that does not breed happiness. All these things that society has taught you oh, this is if you get this Bugatti, you'll be happy. If you have all these women, you'll be happy and all this. It's like, no, you won't, because you don't know who you are. So you're not going to be, there's no material possession or no person or no nothing that's going to make you happy if you don't know who you are, because you can't control anything outside of yourself. People want to try to have these relationships and they get high off the relationship, and you know, we're all guilty of that probably, but if you're not grounded in yourself, when that relationship ends, you're going to be miserable for much longer than you need to be. You know, you're going to be, I've seen people that can't function for weeks or months, or some people that never go back to being the same. And it's just like, nah, man, you gotta figure out who you are, get grounded, and have gratitude and appreciation for this plane of existence. Because I can talk a lot about the behavior of humans and all the nastiness, and but at the same time, I'm super grateful to be able to be able to go through this purge, to go through the cleansing process, being beautiful environments and these woods and beaches and all the places but I've built my life so that I can do that. And I've designed my life because that's my value system. Other people design their lives, they have different value systems, and so they're going to have different things. For me, I love being mobile, be like jump in my van and I can go over here. It's like, what's this city about? What's this energy? These woods, this park, that kind of thing. Yeah, I love that and that kind of freedom, but I chose that path. But that came from liberation. One time I said, I'm not here to be happy, I'm here to be free. And so for me, freedom is, when we start talking about core principles, I made videos on this where I say, what's your core top 2 or 3 principles? And my top principle is freedom.
Yeah.
I will, my second is peace, but I'm willing to experience not being in peace, but if it means freedom, I can't not. That's non-negotiable. Freedom's non-negotiable. So that's at the top. Then peace is second, and those are my driving principles for life. But those are the kinds of things that if you're a young man, if you're older, you should already have this. But if not, get it together. But if you're a younger man, and you should be able to articulate that. But that's part of knowing who you are. When somebody asks you, well, what's your principles of life? What's your philosophy? What's your value systems? It's like, well, mine is freedom and peace are the top 2 governing principles. That all of the decisions, everything that I do and operate, I filter it through that. Is this something that's gonna keep me free in freedom or lead me to more freedom and peace? And if it doesn't, then and that's where you have to ask that question with relationships, with anything that you deal with in your life, because you could look at a situation and be like, okay, is this gonna breed freedom?
Yeah.
And you'd be looking like, no.
Is this situation, this person, this anything really?
Yeah.
And like, I want to talk about freedom and masculinity actually, because it's a big one. Because like, my core values are freedom first. I'm a Sagittarius, so of course I was born like wanting freedom.
So we're both Sagittarius.
Oh, you're
so that's why
yeah. Of course we want freedom. Of course, freedom is going to be our top.
Yeah.
So freedom, and then my second one is truth, because I will serve truth and I will give myself to truth, and then it's sacredness. And so when I work with men, especially the masculine, when a man is on his way to, on his journey to really embodying his full potential, full divine masculine, then he needs a purpose. And one of the things that men are lacking in our society is purpose. They've lost their purpose. And
Yeah.
so like they're
Well, I mean, that's literally
authentic.
what Ehret says. Is just about humanity in general. He said humans have lost their purpose.
Yes, yes, exactly. And so, and this is, and we see it even in relationships, because like a real sacred union, two people are going to come together for the sake of a higher purpose, right? Not for like me and you and like it's fun and we can go to the movies together and have sex together and you can pay for this and I can do this and like
Mm-hmm.
that's we normalize that as a relationship, but really a sacred union, it's like, okay, are we coming together, but for the sake of what? For the sake of what purpose? So a sacred union has a purpose. But I want to go back to freedom, because the core fear of the masculine is losing his freedom. That's kind of the core fear. And so I see it also with what we're talking about, again, coming back to know thyself, is how are you going to be actually free? Because free doesn't mean, oh, I'm going to get to eat what I want and go to McDonald's and do it. No, freedom, true freedom, like not the fake fine. Because
Yeah.
you already hear this when people, oh, don't what I'm eating is none of your business, get out of my plate, like you vegans, you this, like get out. But that's not, there's no freedom here, not for you and not for the animal that you just killed. So if freedom is your value, are you actually in integrity and living in authenticity with that? Because if you're not giving actual authentic freedom to yourself, with your body, with being who you are, you're still consuming this alcohol and animals and all this stuff, you're not free. You're actually in a cage that you are creating for yourself, because you're not yourself. You're full of external demonic entities and physical I forgot the word in English, parasites. And so you're actually not free. It's the parasites that are wanting to drink the alcohol and to eat more meat. And like the parasites are literally asking for, give me more sugar, give me more meat, give me more dairy. It's not even you at this point. And so that's really what freedom is to me. It's like liberate yourself. When I work with people in medicine, I'm like, don't take, I should be, you think I would be telling people you need to take more medicine and more. No, you need to take it wisely and you need to work with the medicine to liberate yourself. But it's not about using a crutch, not medicine, not alcohol, not sex, not eating bad mucusy food. It's really, that's real freedom and that's real liberation. And that's how
Yeah.
we can actually evolve and not have the fake version of evolution that we see on a lot of Instagram today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I had this. I had made this statement. Then some of the guys on my team had turned this into a challenge, the comfortable in your body challenge. But I was talking about, are you comfortable in your body?
Yeah.
Because if you're doing different whatever drugs and meat and dairy and caffeine and all these kinds of things, then that's telling me you're not comfortable in your body. You or some of the people that want to, I hate this world. I want to out of body travel. I want to
You want to
just,
escape somewhere.
yeah, I want to go someplace else. And or these folks that want to be in these perpetual state of samadhi, and
Yeah.
I just want to, it's like, but you're not comfortable in your body. You're not grounded here. There's a reason that we're put here in a body, and but people miss that. What we're doing immediately, as soon as you're here, you are purging, you're eliminating, and that's the real purpose of what are we really here to do? We're really here to cleanse ourselves.
Exactly.
But but man, but you're either doing one of two things. You're either cleaning yourself up and cleansing yourself and taking advantage of this opportunity, or you're making things worse. You're eating yourself down into a deeper hole. And we often look at animals, undeveloped humans, where because there's the theories of humans evolving from animals, but we question that, and we're saying no. I'm seeing a lot of humans eating themselves down into bears,
Exactly.
into different. You look at the embryology and the embryological cycle. uh, the if you were to everything goes through a certain the certain stages up to human. The human went through a stage. If it was obstructed when you were born, if you got obstructed at the dog stage, you would have been a dog. You know, if you got obstructed at a goat stage, you'd be a goat or a fish.
Yeah.
But humans, as far as I know, are the only entities on the planet from an embryological standpoint that literally has everything in it. All beings on the planet, if you just, and this is just looking at the embryo as it goes through these different stages, starts off, it looks kind of like a leaf. So when I see leaves on the trees, that to me, that's a human. That's an undeveloped human.
Yeah.
It has the potential. It's just it got stopped in its cultivation, but it has a purpose for now. But we have a purpose. It's like, but what we're saying is obstruction is the bane of our existence. Like that's what we're here to remove the obstruction, and then we can actually become whatever it is that we're supposed to be. But as long as that obstruction is there and we're eating things that make the human more obstructed, we're going to have, you have more having a child. The birthing process is not supposed to be an emergency room visit.
Oh God. Oh God.
You know what I mean?
Don't get me started on that. I'm gonna go on a fucking angry rant if I start talking about the way we birth children today.
Yeah.
It's madness.
It's an abomination.
It's an abomination.
But what
Yeah.
most people don't understand, the reason, you know, necessity is the mother of invention. The reason that this whole situation was created was because of sick humans, sick, obstructed, constipated humans. There's no other need for it. It would not be an emergency with high infant mortality, all that. We wouldn't even have that word, infant mortality.
Yeah.
Would not exist if it wasn't for obstruction and constipation. That's the whole reason for it. And so if we want to emancipate ourselves from that, you have to remove the constipation, the obstruction, which means getting in alignment with true natural laws. I mean, when we talk about freedom, to me, first you have to know what the law is. So first, know what are the natural laws. What are we supposed to be doing here? Who am I? It's like that's all that. Know thyself. Know what's happening. Once you learn the natural laws and you fit yourself into it, then you start to you can actually have a perspective of what true freedom really is. Because like you said, if you're still eating meat and you're glued to the television and YouTube all day and just that kind of stuff, you're not you're being controlled by other entities.
Yeah.
But when you can emancipate yourself from that, cleanse yourself of that, then you get insight into who you really are, what you're supposed to be doing. And when you study and understand natural law, then you can start to figure out and understand what true freedom actually is. You know, Ehret, I mean, to me, freedom is connected to vitality. Yeah. It's synonymous. It's like that's true freedom is going to be vitality, not the freedom to Brother Ehret called America is like the freedom to be filthy. You know, it's like you have the freedom to if you want to dishevel yourself and I mean, you could put your bloodline back generations just eating all of this nonsense. Yeah. Because there's the combination of eating all the nonsense along with having emergency rooms that can try to put you on life support and all these drugs. And so people they're living longer than they otherwise would through unnatural means, making it even worse because you're literally able to make your bloodline even filthier for a longer period of time.
Right.
And so that's
in your quality of life, right? In your quality of life, in the quality of who you really are. Are you living your authentic life? Are you serving the world, or are you just living here like just eating everything, buying everything, going like following the sheep like everyone else, or are you actually free and liberated and evolved? I really, like, we need to freaking evolve. Like, we can't keep doing the same shit we're doing. We're just, it's like we're going worse. Like, we're most people, like I said, are de-evolving themselves and their bloodlines. And again, like me, with I love to talk about the sacred union and sexual energy. And it's like, if people will know that they're actually, and, you know, even people who go and have sex every night with different people, I don't care, they're like missing out on like 90% of what sex actually could be and is. They're missing out on so much because they're focused on such a little window, like a label of what sex is, because they saw it in porn and they saw it in with friends and with family and movies. But most people don't know what actual sex is. They think, you know, it's like something goes into something else and we're having an orgasm and that's it. And that's it. Like,
right.
Oh my God, you're missing out. Oh my God. I'm trying to teach, you know, when I teach my clients and I'm like trying to take them through sex without penetration, they're like, what? You crazy. You're crazy. How, what do you want us to do? We don't know what to do. Like, but that's the thing. It's like that purification, physically, emotionally, physically, it's so vital for us to actually evolve, for us to actually connect, right? And when you're cleansing your body, really cleansing your body, when you're taking care of your body, this is a vessel of light. This is an actual vessel that contains light. If you're a man, you're a masculine vessel. So you are a channel of light. You're bringing the light forth. You're the consciousness of light. And if I'm a woman, which thank goddess I am a vessel of light. So I'm holding it, I'm transmuting all the light that the masculine brings, right? So how do we know how to work with our actual vessels? Not just in the pornographic idea or the regular, you're not just a pump, like a lump of flesh here to like just do what you're told and eat everything and you know, and don't get me wrong, I love food, right? I just eat very clean, but I enjoy it. It's a pleasure for me. I have sex with it. It's wonderful, but it's important to me what I put in my body. And so that's why I can actually know myself. And I'm going to be on that journey for the rest of my life. It's never going to end, right? Like, because we're always expanding. And I have so many more questions for you, but I know we're like 2 hours in. So I want to just touch one more thing about dairy, right? Because dairy is very overlooked in this conversation most of the time. But it can seriously mess with men's hormones, especially, and energy, women's too, but we're talking about more men today. And it brings in these unwanted hormones and inflammation that weakens masculine vitality and blocks sacred sexual energy, and also, you know, life force energy. Sex energy is life force energy. And so for men, and you know, also for me, it's that image that a grown-ass man drinking drinking milk, like, grow up. You're not a freaking baby. You're not a baby cow for sure.
Not a baby
and
cow,
you're also
right.
not a baby. So grow up. And so for me, it's also it really also symbolizes the fact that grown-ass men still drink dairy, you know, dairy symbolizes that the way that men are still not grown up in their emotions, in their spirituality. They're still staying, you know, it's that Peter Pan syndrome, you know, it's that lost boy syndrome. And us women, we're here, we're waiting. Okay, we're waiting. When can you join? When we don't want to have sex with a little boy. we want you to grow up. So let's talk about the dairy, and why it's so important, especially for men, to stop the consumption of dairy. You know, also when I take men through semen retention practices and mastery, self-mastery, that's what a real man does, self-mastery. You know, they have to stop dairy because it really messes up with the physical hormones, and also, again, brings you back to being a kid. I'm drinking the mother's milk. It's all subconsciously it's happening subconsciously within them, right? But they subconsciously, most men want to stay a little boy and want to go back to the womb. That's by the way, the biggest spiritual reason why men always want to penetrate women, right? Is because subconsciously they just want to go back home. They just want to penetrate back and go to the womb and, you know, be protected by the mommy and all that. So they just don't know that that's what they want, but that's what they want.
Yeah.
So I want to hear your perspective about dairy and how it affects masculine energy, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Also, your perspective as a man.
Yeah, I mean, for me, dairy is, I mean, it's one of the things. I mean, meat and dairy, you can get off it. You should be able to get off it pretty easy if you're really cleaning yourself.
Yeah.
As we go back to the mechanics of cleansing with the enemas, it's like, are you doing, you put all that together. What you're going to do is you're going to transform your physiology so that it becomes impossible to be able to tolerate dairy. You lose the tolerance. I mean, all humans are lactose
Exactly.
intolerant,
Exactly.
but you actually become to the point where you immediately get sick if you were to have that.
Mhm.
But then, I mean, there's layers of problems because it's what you pointed out there with the milk, subconscious, uh, you get your case of morphine addiction and all that kind of stuff. But then you're dealing with this homogenized whatever. I mean, this stuff isn't even real milk that people are buying. It's like heated up and it's and none of it's. I mean, it's. But that's the level. That's it's like when you had to start taking this yarn or all this stuff that's all tied up, and you're try to figure it out, and it's just layers of insanity on top of each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, dairy is it. I mean, that's just one of those where I don't even. Okay, this would be a good. So in my webinar, I talk about because here's the level of conditioning to get us to this point, the kind of conditioning that had to be there. I grew up with these commercials, the milk, it does a body good commercials, and they
Mhm.
literally had a commercial where there was a little boy and he's like drinking milk and he's lusting over a woman over like an older younger woman, like an older young woman, and he's like drinking milk. He's all scrawny, and he's like, I'm drinking my milk, and and one day you're gonna like me. And then they show like an older version of him, and it's like, I'm drinking milk, and he's getting bigger. Then they get like this muscular man, like this
Yeah.
boy. He drank his milk, so he became this muscular man. So it's like, now I'm big, strong. Will you love me because I'm beautiful? I mean, it's just, and this is the 80, like the 80s, the late 80s when this was put this together, and
It couldn't be
uh,
further from the truth, like literally, quite
yeah,
literally. Like,
yeah, like quite literally, yeah, exactly. And but I grew up with that, so I, so I mean, I kind of, yes, I believed it. My body kind of rejected it just because I couldn't. There was a point where I stopped drinking milk way before practicing the diet, just because I was just like, man, this doesn't feel good. And I don't want this. But but there was always people around that was like, no, you got to drink your milk. You gotta do this. And I'm like, I don't like milk. I don't want to drink this. But 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 when I was young, and you're watching that kind of stuff. I mean, you are young and you really start to think about how impressionable you are and how our paradigms and our worldviews are cultivated at this young age. And if you just start looking at these commercials or these things that children see, that even just going to a store and all it's just, we talk about demonic. You literally take this poison and put it in all these great colors, and it's like just at eye level for children as they're walking into the store. Ooh, Skittles and candy and this kind of stuff. The produce is way high. It's like they can't see into the apples. It's like the apples are pretty high up sometimes, and it's all very very problematic. But that's where we get into consciousness. And if you really want, because yeah, we could get into all of the hormones and that kind of stuff. And I mean, there's a reason. Just is constipation. Like you say, at the beginning, the mucusless diet healing system says all disease, no matter what name it is known by medical science, is constipation, a clogging up of the entire pipe system of the human body. So we're not just talking about bowel constipation, but
yeah.
cellular constipation from head to toe. Most people are severely constipated. The lymphatic system doesn't move properly. They got weakened glands and organs. So the more of this constipation, and then on top of that, you add whatever weird hormones and all this chemicals that they put in this processed food, all this kind of stuff. There's a reason why, because that was another commercial they started doing when I was young, was all the Viagra commercials and all the, these commercials where they try to normalize taking a pill of poison in order to stimulate yourself so that you can be erect and go just do what you want to do. It's like, first of all, when you break nature's laws, there's a
Yeah.
reason that you can't get it up. That's supposed to be giving you a message, not a
Right.
message to go buy a pill, but a message to get yourself together physiologically because you're sick and filthy. You've broken all these rules, all the laws of nature, so your ability to sire children has been taken away from you. That's not supposed to be, oh, let me go get a pill. That's supposed to let you, put a little bit of concern, like maybe I'm doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And what we're saying here is you don't have to look any further than the refrigerator. Don't you have to look any further than that thing of milk in there. We're not just that's
Ridiculous. It's
ridiculous. Yeah, we're not.
like, do you know that most men, like, first of all, it's a pandemic of like men having erectile dysfunction problems these days. It's even in very young men, and
Right.
men that come to me to help them with semen retention and also erectile dysfunction problems. I have a lot of men who are fucking buffed. They're like
Mm,
big and buffed, and like they're not weak like this. And like they're like, how am I? Like, look at me. I'm such a man. How do I have erectile dysfunction? I'm like, let's talk about it, because there's,
yeah.
and then we go deep into subconscious, right? We go, first of all, I ask them what they eat, obviously, but then I go deep into the subconscious layers and trauma that they could have had happen to them, and also probably trauma that they caused, probably a woman. And
Mm,
so you see it a lot when a man causes pain to a woman that was connected to him, romantically, spiritually, energetically.
mm,
He's gonna get something happen to him. That's
yeah.
karma of the sacred of not a sacred union, of a union. And usually it's going to be in his groin area.
Mm,
And other times it could be a disease. Other times the men can develop some sort of a disease in the body. And you talk about constipation, which is kind of the same of what I talk about energetically, of like the life force energy moving through the body. Like we need to know how to women need to know how to transmute that life force, how to move it, and then men need to learn how to move it wisely up and down through the body, and not just get stuck in the groin area, where it's like, oh, I just need to hump everything now, because the energy is literally stuck. That's why they need to hump everything. They haven't mastered their life force and their sexual energy. And I think that, and I know, not think, I know that it's very connected to, again, the physical aspect of it, and the physical constipation. We really need to start unblocking ourselves from all of this
right.
actual shit,
And one interesting perspective, another angle of that
Yeah.
is one of the reasons, and this is just like another way to look at things, where when you have really sick humans, the the species still wants to try to perpetuate itself.
Right.
So it's almost as if it's like, okay, you're super sick. You're not probably going to change. So we're going to make you as horny as possible. You have this small little window where you might be able to accidentally procreate, and so that it becomes this physiological directive
Mhm.
to like, okay, just go out there, go wild. It's like you have this small little period of time where you may be able to have a child, so just go get crazy.
Right.
And then, but that's the thing, when you remove when you lengthen your life and you lengthen your ability to where you're not likely to pass away in a few years and become all constipated and dysfunctionalized, uh, then that rush isn't there. That like, oh, you better hurry up.
Right,
And
exactly.
so
I got
there's
time. I got time. I'm
it's
good.
like, yeah, I got some time, and so that breeds control,
Mhm.
and but that's what I see when I see these folks that are eating all the burgers and just all the worst food on the planet, and then they it's some people would look at that as they lose control for a reason, because if they had control, then maybe the babies wouldn't be happening. So they lose control of themselves, and then but then we get into this chaos that we have where, I mean, just the culture of, I mean, that'd be a whole other hours of talking
Oh my
about
gosh, hours,
the,
hours, like literally.
all these the babies and you got the single mom dynamics and
Yep.
cultures and
I mean,
all
and
just
and the fact that like most people, I'm gonna go on a rant, right? But like most human beings should not bring babies into the world. First of all, they're not. Most human beings are not meant to be parents,
not
right?
ready, right?
They're not ready on any level. And then you have like you're not even meant to bring human being with this person. Like you haven't matured enough. You haven't, again, it's like a mask meeting a mask, the ego meeting the ego, and then they think, oh, we're in love. We need to be together forever. But no. And then one day, all the fantasy and the illusion falls apart, and we already had a kid together, or two or three, and then good luck with that, and you're creating more karmic cycle with your kids, and you're all, you haven't healed your shit, so your kids are taking on all of your shit, and it's, oh my gosh, what a rabbit hole, what chaos, and it's not responsible. In my view, it's not a responsible thing to do. So many people told me things like, oh, don't you want to have a child that has your hair and she looks like, I'm like, are you listening to how selfish that is? Is that a
That's
reason? I mean, I could buy a doll, like a little doll, and
yeah,
have hair like
yeah,
me. Like, I don't
yeah.
need to bring another soul into the world. Like, we have forgotten the rights of birthing a child. It's like one of the courses I'm working on for the future, not for right now, is how to bring magical children. And
Hmm.
we forgot. I mean, women even forgot the fact that they need to connect with the soul of the child before they even conceive it. And then we go through a physical purification. The men and the women need to go through a physical, actual cleanse and purification, because the semen also has to be clean, right? The actual semen, and the body of the woman, the connecting back to the womb, connecting back to the ovaries, and just, what are we doing? What are
That's
we
why we say immaculate conception. That's
Immaculate conception.
what
Exactly.
you want to try to aspire to.
Exactly. And I love it. I didn't even know that he wrote that in the book. I love that. I'm going to read the book now. even more. So I am so, oh my gosh, again, like I said, I have so many more questions. But I want to thank you so much for this amazing conversation. I'm so honored that you are finally the first person that for years I've been wanting to have a conversation with the conscious man, and I'm so grateful it's you. And so I want to just, if you want to share anything any last thing with the people, where they can find you as well. And I'm going to link your link. I'm going to post your links down below as well, so they can find you. But if you want to share also.
Yeah, you can find me on the social media spaces, Prof Spira, Prof.Spira on Instagram, Facebook. I got Pro Spira and Professor Spira. You can go to my website, mucusfreelife.com. We have a membership program. If you want to work with me directly, we have group coaching sessions and Q&A sessions and all kinds of food prep stuff and recipes. Everybody always says, where's your recipe book? Because I just joined the membership. We have all that stuff is accessible in there. Uh, and yeah, and come
Amazing.
YouTube, Professor Spira, Mucus Free Life on YouTube. And so yeah, plug in. As we always say, the art of plugging in is very important. Being able to actually plug in and tune your frequency to the right, to positive energies, and let yourself go through that. If any of this conversation, if it resonated, but if parts of it were challenging to you, then you want to dive into that. You want to
Yeah.
go toward that, where it's
Go
like,
towards that.
okay, let me see what is this, because you don't have to believe anything right off front, but investigate it uh,
Exactly.
experientially, like, just really go through it. Like, okay, let me go see, because that's how I took with even practicing the mucusless diet, where I'm like, okay, here's all these beautiful things you mentioned, Arnold, Ehret, talking about the 56-hour walk and 800-mile ride and reversing incurable disease and all this stuff. Then I'm like, okay, well, let me see if this is true, and what the nature of this is. And so I start going down that path, and I'm still on that path. And so I'm like, yeah, this is the real deal. But you have to experience that for yourself. You have to take up the practice and really do it and really put in the work, go down this path and have these realizations for yourself. It's not enough because sometimes people will vicariously live through other people that are experiencing things online, and I'm just like, nah, it's if this is inspirational to you to get started, then that's great. But you
Exactly.
got to do the work. You got to do this work. So, but we are happy to for anybody that needs the support. We're here, and just plug in.
Yeah, and I think it's very important. Support is very important. Like to have a group and to have like a group, especially when people are trying to get out of the most horrible program and spell of humankind, which is to eat animals and to eat bad foods. A support group is very important, especially so many people live in communities that everyone around them still eat the same crap, and it's really helpful and inspiring to have people with you doing that together. So lastly, I wish to leave you with these words, dear ones. Sacred energy, life energy, flows from life, not from death, right? While profane energy is born of death. Consuming dead animals dulls the quality of our sexual and creative power, replacing true life force with artificial stimulation. Shortcuts like stimulants and force techniques only mask the real work, which is leading to spiritual bypassing. So we don't want spiritual bypassing here. You know that, people who listen to me. So authentic transformation demands patience, integrity, and respect for the natural flow of energy. To truly awaken and step into our highest power, we must liberate ourselves from the chains of old beliefs, toxic habits, and energies that no longer serve us. Only through this liberation can we reclaim our sacred life force and live as fully empowered human beings and magical creatures. So again, I'm so grateful for you, Professor Spira, and hopefully we get to hang out in our minivans or well, my minivan, but your I got a little one. So and enjoy your travels, and yeah, people go check out the book, go check out the membership and everything that Professor Spira is talking about. It's fascinating, and it's very, very important today for where we're at in human evolution. And remember, check out my book, Sex Magic Evolution, and all the stuff down below. Okay, love you all, guys. Thank you so much, Professor.
Thank you.
Please subscribe, like, and share so I can continue making these videos and share the work of the temple. And may the goddess bless you all.